All right, guys. Dreadnought's back today with a new review, and we're going to be doing something a little bit different and looking at the Matty.com exclusive or Mattel exclusive Club Grayskull He-Man and the Masters of the Universe Trap Jaw. This is the Trap Jaw from the cartoon. This is the Filmation line that has recently come out. He-Man was first in the wave. I missed out on him, and I actually missed out on the subscription deadline as well, but I was able to pick up Trap Jaw here on the online sale that's open to all, and quite frankly, if you don't get in on it in the first few minutes, you really miss out. So he is very hard to obtain. Very cool packaging here. You can see Castle Grayskull there. It's got windowed eyes at the top and the nose, which looks really cool. The He-Man and the Masters of the Universe logo, which says Trap Jaw. Has an adult collector down there, like, you know, almost like it's something we're doing wrong. Always weirds me out seeing that. But anyway, it comes in this protective sleeve. A little bit different than what Matty's done in the past. We usually get the white boxes, and there's some kind of paper around stuff I've bought from them in the past, but this is just very flimsy. It didn't come with any kind of protection in the box other than the sleeve that slid down over it. And you can see that looks like the gates up on Castle Grayskull. And the sleeve on the back just has the He-Man and the Masters of the Universe logo, which is cool. It just doesn't protect the box well at all. So if you're wanting to keep these in package, you know, I have to say, I'm not sure it's going to work out, you know, best for you. Quite frankly, my box got pretty damaged in shipping. It's dented in here on the top. I don't know if you can tell, but there's also a lot of box wear. There's like white where the packaging peeled off here on the side, and it's kind of dented around the front as well. There's a huge dent in here in the Masters of the Universe logo as well. So, you know, if you're wanting to keep these mint in package, you know, maybe you need to buy more than one and cross your fingers is all I can say. But the box is pretty cool. It does have that Filmation type style cartoony Grayskull around on the sides, and then you can see some old cartoon artwork here on the back that has Trap Jaw there looking very cool. Snake Mountain or whatever it is in the background there. And then there's some short information down here on the bottom about the cartoon debuting in 1983 and some other things, which is really cool. Overall, I really like the packaging. I just wish they'd shipped it in a little better shape or with a little more protection. So let's get this bad boy open and get a look at it. And here's Trap Jaw out of the packaging. Looking pretty cool overall. Did a decent job here. Some things that I definitely like about the figure. And there's a few things that I probably would nitpick on, and we'll get into those here in a moment. One thing I do want to say up front, though, is I have never been a huge fan of He-Man and the Masters of the Universe figures. Even as a kid, as much as I loved the cartoon, and I did absolutely love the cartoon, I just really didn't care for the figures. I don't know if it was the scale or their stance or the funky articulation. I just honestly didn't get into them. I did collect a few of them, but, you know, honestly, most of the time they were trade bait for Transformers or G.I. Joes. You know, so I just really wasn't a huge fan of the figures. I didn't get into the remake figures several years ago either, and I didn't get into when Mattel started doing the Matty subscription figures either. They were just too reminiscent of those first early figures for me, and I just didn't jump on board. What caught my eye with these figures was the likeness to the cartoon, and that's what really got me a little more interested in giving these figures a try. So I'm sure there'll be a lot of things you guys can correct me on as I talk about these He-Man figures here. So if you have anything, just put it in the comments below. I'm no expert at He-Man figures by any means, but I thought it'd be cool to start checking these guys out and doing some reviews along the way. So with that said, Trap Jaw's looking pretty cool overall. I love what they did with the arm there. Some nice articulation as well. So let's take a closer look. And taking a look at his accessories up first, you can see here this is blaster rifle or whatever you want to call it, right off the bat that he comes packaged with. And you can see there's not a huge amount of detail here. It's very cartoony looking. It is a very soft plastic as well, so this bends real easy, but it does seem like it might break down here at the end, so I would be cautious with it. The other thing I noticed is the plastic has a almost powder coat feel to it. It feels like there's powder on it. Kind of has a white tint to it, almost like when glue is left in a package, which I really didn't like how that kind of turned out on it. It just kind of softens it a little bit. It almost looks pink And in my mind, Trapjaw did have maybe some pink shadowing in certain spots back in the cartoon, but I primarily remember this as being red. And it comes off a little more pink than I would like it to. But you guys may can correct me if I'm wrong. Also comes with the bow type, or the bowcaster type weapon as well, which looks pretty cool there. Honestly, I don't even remember this one from the cartoon that well. But not a huge amount of detail in any of these. Just very cartoonish, and that's what they were going for. My favorite, of course, is this one. This one I definitely remember from the cartoon. And what's cool is it feels very much like a fly flap, which is really cool to me. It just has that feel to it, the rubber does. And you can see all these kind of have that powdery look to them a little bit. It's almost like a white powder on them or something, and it doesn't seem to rub off, so a little bit weird there. They all snap in pretty easily. You just have to give them a little bit of a push, and then they're on just like so, and it spins around quite easily as well. And then getting them off, actually pulling them straight out, it's a little bit more difficult, so if you kind of rock it to the side, it comes off just as easy, no real problem there. And then we'll put this one on as well. And this one was a little bit tougher to put on, but it does pop on like so. And it looks pretty cool there. And as we get a closer look in here at his face, you can see some very nice sculpt work I think they did on the head. I love how this face turned out. Those crazy eyes and the eyebrows. The green paint they used I think was just perfect for the color. You can tell the helmet's a little more to the pink shade than red. And it's kind of got a gray up here, which looks good. And the jaw is articulated, which is really nice, and it's painted black underneath there, which I really love. But just overall, really nice job. No real imperfections here. The eyes, to me, are perfectly painted with the pupils. It's right in the middle. Maybe a little bit of green paint on one of those eyebrows, but for the most part, just came out very nice. The blue through the body came out very nice. I like the shade they used. The arm looks a little bit different, which is a little bit weird. Right up here in the upper arm, it almost looks like they were going for shadowing, but it doesn't quite match up with the top of his chest. So it just comes off looking a little bit dirty on that shoulder there. And you can see it looks like it's got some shadowing down through there as well. It just didn't come out quite right. But overall, I like the shade of blue they used. And I'm so glad this joint didn't turn out red like it did in the pictures. That was really going to throw it off for me. And then we've got this part over here. And I remember on my Trapjaw as a kid, I think this part just slid off every time you changed the arm out or something. Doesn't seem to slide off on here. It's painted black. It's just a black matte finish. And then the way the weapon is, we looked at that just a minute ago. Same plastic used on the upper arm up through here. It's kind of a powder soft. It has almost a little bit of a white sheen to it, making it look a little more pink than red. And then looking down through the body down through here, see that nice sculpting just continues. The belt is a nice shade of green, and it is a separate piece. And it looks like foam rubber almost, but it is actually a harder plastic, than that. But I think it's okay for what it is. Definitely reminiscent of the cartoon, just very basic, not much sculpt work in there. And then his loincloth is made out of a very soft plastic. Yeah, you can see Trapjaw's got not much going on underneath there. But it's that pink, but it does have a different feel than the rest of this plastic. This actually feels more natural. And I like the way it came out. It doesn't have that powder coat feel to it. And looking through the back, you can see that belt running back around through there and where it seams together. They didn't do a great job of that, but it came out okay. Same thing through the legs. And then you got black back here, and you can see a little bit of pink shining through around the edges. But overall, it looks pretty clean. And then looking through the front, you got that same shade of green on the pads up here, which came out really nice, and black, and then pink through here, on all this front armor, which came out pretty good overall. No real issues with it. There's a little bit of paint back here on the back of the leg. Not a huge amount of detail, but it's a Filmation character. Some peg holes down there at the bottom of the feet. So, I really don't expect there to be a huge amount of detail. I think it's nice for what it is, and I think it's very reminiscent of the cartoon. And taking a look at articulation, the head will rotate all the way around. No real problems there. It does have some nice pivot. You can get it side to side in there. It looks up a pretty decent amount. It doesn't move down at all, just levels off. Maybe to allow for that jaw articulation that will open about that far. and does close, which is really cool. Upper arm will move out that far. You can rotate it all the way around. Does get a little bit tough in there. Does have some upper bicep swivel if you get it out away from the body. Has a single jointed elbow, almost 90 degrees there. The wrists do rotate around, and they do have a nice hinge on them as well. And then on this arm, of course, for his weapon, it moves out about that far. We'll rotate all the way around. So no real articulation on that other than this spins where it mounts there. It does have an ab crunch, and you can crunch him forward about that far forward and that far back. It does have waist rotation, which is really smooth. The hips will move out a great amount, man. You can get him doing the whole splits there, no problem there. Kicking him forward, he's hindered a little bit by this, but he can kick forward a decent amount as well. Can't really kick back a whole lot. The upper leg does rotate. It is a little tight in there, but it does rotate. Has single jointed knees. Get up to about 90 degrees. And then the one thing that I was really impressed with was on the foot, other than the fact that it hinges up and down, it does have an ankle rocker on it, which is really cool. I don't know if the earlier He-Man from the Club Attorney and stuff had ankle rocker, ankle pivot, but I think it's really cool to see that on a Mattel figure. And on to some quick comparisons. Here's our Trap Jaw compared to a couple other recent Mattel figures. We have our 30th anniversary Dark Knight Returns Superman over here on the left, and our Batman Year Zero Batman over here on the right that we recently reviewed on the channel. And Trap Jaw's measuring in at right about 6 3/4, maybe a little over that. So pretty much in scale with both these guys. And up next is our Trap Jaw compared to our Marvel Legends 6-inch Walmart exclusive Thor from the Avengers movie over here on the left, and our Diamond Select Hawkeye over here on the right in 7-inch scale. And you can see this guy's measuring in between both. And lastly, for weirdness and just a sense of scale, here's our Trap Jaw compared to another guy that can swap out his arm with useful tools. We have our Cobra Bat 3 3/4-inch figure over here on the right from the 25th anniversary G.I. Joe line, and our 6-inch Black Series Kylo Ren over here on the left. And wrapping up real quickly, overall I gotta say I'm really pleased with Trap Jaw. I think it came out very nice in comparison to the Filmation cartoon. There's not a huge amount of detail here, but like I said, it's simplified for the Filmation cartoon, and I think it definitely has that look. It's very well constructed. No real issues with the figure at all. The parts pop on and off real easy. Nice paint tones throughout. I would have liked this to have been a little more red than pink, but I still think it came out looking pretty great overall. I like the attention to detail with giving just a little bit of shadowing attempt over here, and all the detail that we got in that face sculpt just looks awesome and very cool, in the articulated jaw as well. If I had to take one thing away from the figure, I know it's not accurate, but I would have liked to have been able to move this at a joint here with the different weapons or whatever. I think it would have just gave a little more posing opportunity to the figure, but I do love the fact that we actually get an ankle rocker down here, which I think is really cool, so I have to give kudos for that. I have to rate the figure a buy if you can get it at a decent price. If you're a fan of the old school Filmation cartoons like I am, I think it's definitely a must-have to have some of these figures, at least some of the base characters, and Trap Jaws definitely fits the bill for that. I hate I missed out on the He-Man. If anybody knows where I can catch a bead on one, or where to score one, definitely leave me a comment or send me a message on Twitter or anything. I really hate that I missed out on that figure, but I'm not prepared to give up my firstborn on eBay yet to grab him, so I'm hoping those prices will come down a little bit. But overall, yeah, I have to say the figure's nice, and I do rate him a buy. I just don't rate him a buy at crazy aftermarket prices. I think the figure currently is going $50, $60 on eBay. I'm not sure he's worth that much. In my opinion, I would give it a little wait. But, you know, if you feel like you're going to miss out and you just have to have these Filmation characters, then it might be wise to just go on and grab it up while you can. Otherwise, you know, a lot of times we've seen Mattel re-release some of these figures with just little variations. So we may see all these re-released within time if you have a lot of patience to wait for that kind of thing to happen. Also, just if you're wondering, you can't open this guy without damaging the packaging. I was able to get this guy out with no real damage to the box. You just open the top and he does come out, because I know some people want to open him. He's rubber banded in. That's really the only damage that was done to the actual box, is I had to remove those rubber bands, and I did have to cut them off to get them out. But other than that, I can preserve the box, and I'll probably put him back in the box actually and put him on my shelf until I grab some more figures to display him with. Wrapping up, I hope you guys enjoyed the review. If so, please give me a big thumbs up. Facebook, Twitter, Toy Art links in the description below as always. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you hadn't already, please subscribe, and we'll see you soon.